Hello, and welcome back to the Spoiler Cast, the show where we talk about movies, and we don't care about spoiling them. My name is Tobias, and with me as always is my sister and trusted co-host Rebecca.
Hello.
Hello. Since you're here, you obviously love the show. So, if you want to love the show even more, if you want to show your support even more, you should check us out on patreon.com/don'tmakeascene, where for only $3 a month, you can get literal hundreds of hours of exclusive entertainment, exclusive episodes, commentary tracks, there's some exclusive videos, bunch of stuff. Check it out. There's links everywhere, especially down below in the description. Other than that, though, if you're here just for the free episodes, subscribe, leave a like, all that stuff. And let's get into the conversation. Because today we're talking about another horror movie. Yes.
Yay.
Yeah, it's almost December and we're still talking about horror movies. Because there's too many horror movies. There's too many good horror movies coming out nowadays, I think. We didn't used to have this embarrassment of riches. Just a few years ago. Well, I guess like 10 years ago. But either way, we're talking today about the third adaptation of a famous horror novel. It's Stephen King's Salem's Lot, the HBO Max version. Whoa! Yes, starring
HBO Max exclusive.
Yeah. Yes, it
starring
is.
Who?
Starring Lewis Pullman, Mackenzie Lee, Jordan Preston Carter, Alfred Woodard, some other people, Pilo Asbeck, which was fun to see, and some other people you might know: Bill Camp, Spencer Treat Clark, from what's it called, Unbreakable.
I know the face, yeah.
Unbreakable. William Sadler, another Stephen King adaptation alumni. I think he's been in like 3 or 4 of them now. He's in what's it called, The Mist. He's in The Shawshank Redemption. Now he's in this. I guess that's 3. Okay, whatever. But still. And it's written and directed by Gary Dauberman, who you might not know and never heard of, but I've heard of him. We're going to talk more about him later. But yeah, the story is the classic story. Writer guy comes back to his hometown of Jerusalem's, or Salem's Lot, looking for inspiration for his new book. But during his stay, people start disappearing, people start dying, and it turns out there's a bunch of vampires in the city! Oh my god, spoilers! Well, I mean, everyone knows that.
Everyone knows that by now.
They don't really cover that up really in the book or the movies, I think.
No.
We're going to do a little bit of a comparison. I've read the book a long time ago, like, 10, 15 years ago. I've never seen any of the 2 other adaptations. There's one by Toby Hooper, which came out in the 70s, I think. Which was, 79, yeah. Which was a short film, I think. A limited series. A miniseries, and then there was Salem's Lot in 2004, starring Rob Lowe and Andre Wronger. I don't know who made that. Doesn't even say. Weird. Either way, this time around though, they decided to make one movie of it, for better or for worse, I suppose. But we're also going to talk a little bit about the book, because you read it just recently, right?
I am still reading it, technically.
Oh, you haven't finished it?
I have not managed to finish it.
Oh.
It just got interesting, though, so...
how far in are you, then?
Like a third?
Oh, okay, So
it's kind of slow in the beginning.
Yeah, it is.
Which makes it hard to get into the exciting part.
Huh.
But now that I know more of what's actually going to happen, I'm more excited, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, that's too bad, because I wanted to compare.
I know. We had an idea that I was supposed to finish it, but
I only remember brief parts of it since it's so long since I read it. But whatever. Let's just talk about the movie then.
Yeah.
And let's start the way we're supposed to start. What did you think of Salem's Lot?
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah?
Except for the main vampire and how he looked, because he looked so misplaced with how like CGI he was, or looked CGI, or like too smooth and too, I don't know, out of this world, I guess. Which, you know, not that kind of out of this world. Because he just didn't fit into the picture really. It looked like he was put on top of it or something sometimes. I didn't like that part. Otherwise, really liked the movie. It was scary sometimes. It was entertaining. It was an adventure almost. I liked it.
All right. No,
what about you? What did you think?
Oh, I just like the book. Yeah, it's kind of boring in the beginning, but then it really picks up after like the first 20 minutes, half an hour. Yeah, it was light on jump scares, which is funny talking about Gary Doberman. Instead, but it had some jump scares. It had some good jump scares, I'd say.
Exactly.
When it had jump scares, it was good. But yeah, it had that kind of old school creepy feeling. It was spooky. It wasn't just people sitting around and going, "Oh!" It was actually like it was building a mood. Not much in terms of characters. Like didn't really care about any of the characters. Not really. Which is
this one felt more story.
More
based,
plot focused,
based.
which is not. I mean, the book is to an extent, but the book definitely delves more into the characters.
Yes.
But I also like that it got kind of weird sometimes. I gotta say, I appreciate the look of the vampire. I don't remember if they describe the way he looks in the book really, but I know that they borrowed heavily from the Tobe Hooper miniseries look of the vampire in this. Because they go straight to Nosferatu in that one. You picked up on that, right? That he looks like Nosferatu.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So I enjoyed that, and like I said, I enjoyed that. It was kind of weird at times. Not saying it's on the same level, but it almost had like a Evil Dead feel to it.
A little
with
bit,
some of the weird camera movements and the sped up stuff. And and the violence, I would say, even though this is definitely more toned down than even the modern Evil Dead. No, but I enjoyed it. I say the last act, I really got into it, talking to the screen, which I rarely do. So I enjoyed it. I wish we had more.
Yeah, it made me look up more vampire movies, and I just ended up watching Twilight and Morbius, which
what?
I couldn't think of another vampire movie I hadn't seen in a while.
So you watched Twilight and Morbius?
Yeah. I haven't seen Morbius. I haven't finished it.
I've never even.
I'm bored.
I've never even.
I started it and went halfway through and started doing other stuff, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I don't know what's happening. I don't care.
The best part is...
And Twilight was just because I wanted to watch something I hadn't watched in a while.
Okay.
I like those movies. Shut up.
Sure. I don't know.
I was a teenager.
I never read any of the books, and I only saw the first movie. It wasn't for me.
No, exactly. It wasn't made for you, so it doesn't matter.
All movies aren't made for you. Anyway. Well, I guess that's it then. We both recommend the movie. Thank you so much for listening. Now, was there any specifics other than that the vampire looked fake? I mean, it's fake.
He just looked like, I don't know, plasticky or something. Something was off with how...
almost like he's
the design.
Inhuman, unnatural.
But not the design itself. It was like a sheen on him or like a filter on him or something that just made him not fit into the screen sometimes.
I didn't notice that at all. Let me look him up.
Maybe it's just my screen then.
Yeah, maybe it's your crappy computer screen. Because you watch it on a computer, I suppose.
Yes.
Not on the very expensive, very nice TV you have.
No, it was very taken by someone else.
Well, not all the time. I know for a fact that you have lots of free time nowadays, so...
Yeah, but not when I was watching this.
Okay. So I'm gonna look it up. Well, my computer screen is better than yours as well. So, but no,
that's true.
I'll look anyway. Maybe it's different on the computer when you're streaming it on the browser. Oh he doesn't show up much though, so I gotta find him somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. That's the issue. Because all the other vampires were really cool.
I think you see him most in the end.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, he has kind of... Well, yeah, his skin is smooth, but it's not like CGI smooth. I think it's supposed to be... It's supposed to be like... It's obviously very pale, but it's almost supposed to look like dead. Like it's like... not dry, but like, bloodless. Like it's almost translucent. Because he's drained of blood. He's a vampire.
It's the smoothness, though, I think. It's a bit too smooth.
I don't know.
It's a nitpick.
That didn't bother me at all.
No.
Oh.
Other than that, I don't think I have it. I mean, there's one thing that fleshed out the book, the beginning of the book, at least.
Yeah.
A lot, which is why, what the fuck was his name? Ben Mears, why he's in town. Yeah, he's researching the whole, his new book and all that. But he talks to Susan about exactly what, and he has a connection to the Marston house.
Yeah, and
that part isn't in here, and it's like, that would have been a little bit more character development, and probably just enough to make him more interesting, because now he's not interesting at all.
Yeah, exactly. They start out by him like, it feels like he's there. Oh yeah, he's researching his new book, but he's also kind of there to figure himself out, sort of trying to kind of remember what happened in his childhood, like he's carrying some sort of trauma. Is that that's in the book, right? Yeah,
in the book he tells Susan after like their second date or something that on a dare when he was a kid. He walked into the Marston house and he even went upstairs where Mr. Marston, or whatever his name was, had hung himself. And he walked into the room and he swore he saw him still dangling there, and he didn't look like he'd been gone for 10 years or whatever. It was like he was just hung himself, and I think he like says something about him moving or something.
Yeah.
And that's the trauma, and he's like, I'm 100% sure that happened, but I need to like revisit the site to think about it or something, like if it actually happened. And that's also what he's basing his book on, Mr. Marston and his suicide, I guess.
Does that come back though? I mean, I guess you haven't read further than that, but I
don't know if it comes back. That's the issue. Yeah. But it is more of an explanation as to why he's there, because just saying like, I used to live here. Okay. But you haven't lived here for what, 20 years?
Yeah. There's no reason in this version of the story for him to actually be from the town.
Not really.
He could just be traveling through.
Yeah, or he could just have heard about the Marston house and wanted to visit the creepy house to get inspiration for his next scary story.
Well, not even that, because the Marston house isn't really a scary house in this one. It's just a
house. That's even that.
Yeah.
The only time we get told that it's kind of scary is when the delivery guys are bringing down the... in the book, they describe it as a dresser or a bureau or something. Chest of drawers. I don't remember which word they use. Here it's straight up a casket.
Yeah.
Which is just like, but they're not supposed to understand that that's what it is. But I guess to speed up the process a little bit, they show it as a casket. They even break it a little bit, so dirt comes out. Like, oh my god, why is there dirt in this?
Once again, I mean that's a general vampire reference, but it's a Nosferatu reference again, because he sleeps in a coffin full of dirt. I mean Dracula does as well, but
exactly.
I just quickly googled the differences between specifically this version of the this adaptation in the book, and Ben Mears' backstory is altered and simplified. Book. Yes, Ben lived in Salems a lot as a child, but he experienced a haunting encounter at the Marston house, which shapes his character. Again, I guess kind of informs decisions he makes during the story.
Yeah.
Here, nothing. We don't really know who he is, other than he's a writer. I guess
he mentions that he lived here.
Yeah.
Or nearby.
And there was well, they do kind of, though, because there's this thing about like how trauma affects a child, because he talks about a car accident. right? I think he mentions a car when they're at the drive-in theater.
Yeah, something about his parents?
Yeah. And
Right, that's why he lived with his grandma.
yeah, and we do know that they talk later when the first child disappears. Earl? Larry? What was his name?
Oh, I don't remember.
The first kid who disappears? Either way.
One of the Glick kids, right?
Yes. After he disappears, hey, spoiler. I don't know. There's not really much to spoil in this, to be honest.
No, the story is from I don't even know when the book came out first time, but it's from like
the 70s, I think.
Yeah, exactly. It's old. We know what the story is.
Yeah.
Or you should know by now.
And there's not really much to like hide in terms of like big reveals. Like they're pretty. They kind of expect you to know what the story is about.
Yeah.
They don't really hide that it's a vampire lurking around. So spoilers. But the first kid gets taken and eaten by the vampire. And his brother he's there, but he doesn't really see anything.
No.
But after that happens, he's traumatized.
Yes.
And says he doesn't remember anything, doesn't even want to talk about it. And to some extent, I guess the main kid, whatever his name, who likes magic.
Mark,
right. Jordan Preston Carter.
The new kid.
Yeah, he talks about how did things that can traumatize a child, how he just works past that.
Yeah.
To avoid trauma, basically. And he experiences some pretty traumatic stuff towards the end, but because of his
way of handling stuff.
Yeah, exactly. he seems to be dealing with it pretty well. So I guess there's something there. Are we making the movie deeper than it is by saying that?
Yeah, a little bit.
Because that's not mentioned here at all. It says in the movie, it says his backstory changed to his parents dying in a car crash, removing his childhood connection to the town and the house. So why even like I used to live there, but I don't remember? If you're not gonna make that part of the story, like that's what I tried to forget. There was a vampire in the old Marston house. Like, that never comes up again. So what's the point of having him be from the town? I don't know.
Other than cost to be there again, I guess. But it's the same, like we said, it doesn't. You could have any other reason.
It's a pretty scenic town, and he could just be like, I just want to get away from the city because I'm trying to write my new book.
I heard this is a very small town, and they had something. So I wanted to go here to research.
Yeah.
Get into the vibes of my new book, which takes place in a small town.
Yeah, and there you could have just had people talk then about the scary Marston house, like they do in the book, because he came here to get. He heard about the super scary haunted Marston house, and he wants to write a ghost story or something. So he comes there to research. Because in the book, it is a significant, almost character-like location with a dark history tied to its original owner, Marston.
It's always looming in the background also. Whenever they talk about something, they constantly mention how the house is overlooking them, or how they can still see parts of it no matter where they are in the town.
Yeah.
Like even when they're at the furthest point, they're like, you can still see the roofs kind of sticking up over the tree line.
So far as you have read, because I don't remember details. I just remember I really, really loved it when I read it. And I remember the ending, which is kind of different. Not very different, but it is different. It goes on longer. It's a classic Stephen King ending that never fucking ends. But do they go in deeper into who Marston was? It's like, is he connected to the vampire?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Not as far as I've read.
Okay, then
I think the Marston house just had that vibe of being scary, and then it fit a vampire to live up there because it's far away and.
Oh, okay.
It has
well, I'm not gonna ruin the book for you,
go.
Because there is definitely there's a reason why the book makes it more of a thing, but I'm not gonna spoil that for you. I'm assuming that. Then yeah, I mean that's probably obvious the way they keep explaining talking about the house, but so far they haven't said that there's like a
connection between the vampire and the house more than just it seems like a good place to hide out because it's in the outskirts of town.
Yeah. I just quickly read it. It was like, oh, immediately they're like, that, or right, that, because then
that's the thing.
Start remembering, yeah, because then it says like in the movie the house's backstory is completely omitted, which then results in the eerie, haunted nature of the house is underutilized. Yeah, because it's just it's a scary house, but it's only scary because the vampire isn't there.
Yeah,
it's not this like.
Like I said, it's only that scene when they delivered the casket that we get the feeling that people don't like that house.
Yeah. Yeah, because in the book, then, now I'm remembering things. God, I got to read that book again. I have it over there. It's almost like it's, because they do talk about how the town, that's also the thing I like more in the book, that it's, obviously it's longer. This feels like it takes place over like, there's this one time jump of a week. But then it feels like
but other than that, it's like 3 or 4 days.
A few days,
total.
yeah, at most. The book feels like it takes place over a lot longer time, especially when the vampire starts showing up. It's almost.
Even
this,
before that, like
story.
the build-up is a couple of weeks at least.
Okay, yeah. And they talk about how the town isn't what it used to be, and it's but like it's kind of run down. Especially you haven't gotten that far, but in the movie, when the cop is about to get out of there. He's like, this town is dead, who's been dead for a long time.
Exactly.
And it's almost because this house is like this, like, festering, like, evil darkness that spreads out across the town. Yeah, which is in the book. Yeah.
Which is what they showed, I guess, in the intro. A weird thing they had to the movie. They had this weird map intro.
Yeah.
Where, I guess it was blood. I don't remember. It was just black liquid or blood.
It's supposed to be blood, I think.
Yeah. Spread out from the Marston house into Jerusalem's lot and like to the houses and different streets and then outside of the little town as well.
Yeah.
Which was, I guess, just a foreshadowing of the vampire's plan or something.
Yeah.
Kind of unnecessary to the movie, in my opinion.
Well, that then we can so there are lots of differences and
yes.
I mean and obviously I would say the book is better. But it's very few times where the book is worse than the movie.
Exactly.
There are some, but very, very few. I would say that The Lost World, even though a lot of people don't like that movie, which is weird, it has this... Yes, it has the reputation of being like a bad sequel to Jurassic Park. But at the time, when it came out, it got rave reviews. I don't know, whatever.
Like one of the few sequels I actually like.
Yes. But that book
being a sequel.
That book was a slap job. They wanted to make a sequel to the movie, but they're like, we have to base it on the book though, like the first one. Hey, Michael Crichton, can you just write a sequel? And he was like, okay, and just slapped it together in like an hour. No, but
Yeah.
So that one, I have to say, the book is better than the movie, or a movie is better than the book. Sorry.
Yeah.
But all these things where it feels like they've kind of streamlined it to like focus on vampires slowly take over the city or the town, and our small band of survivors has to survive.
Yeah.
Make it more of a horror, almost action movie towards the end.
Yes.
Which is fine, but since you're basing it on a book which is much more involved, it feels like you're missing out.
More detailed.
Yeah. And I heard somewhere, I haven't looked into I'm looking at the trivia to see if there's anything about that the movie was a lot longer and had more stuff in it about that, but since they were it got delayed, I think they started working on it 5 years ago or something.
Oh.
And obviously got delayed because of COVID and stuff, that they just, it was one of those maybe we'll just give up on it because we're never going to make our money back now that it's been so delayed. But then it's no, we'll just we'll cut it down and we can sell it to streamers.
Max, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, okay. So they started talking about it in 2019.
Oh yeah.
They talk about it. They had written it, a few years before that even. It doesn't say anything about it being longer, but I heard that summer. Maybe it was some video I saw about the movie. That it wasn't longer, but they wanted to make it more. No, it's supposed to be more of a modern, popcorn scare horror movie. So they just cut a lot of that out. Although
Like, I still think it works.
it
It's
works,
just,
definitely.
You should, as long as you don't compare it to the source material.
Exactly. If you haven't read the book, it's a fine, like, spooky, great spooky Halloween movie, I would say.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's very, very moody like that. It helps that it's in the 70s. Has a lot of those mauve brown tones of the 70s, which fits with the leaves of the season of Halloween.
And the things we said that horror movies always benefit from is not having technology.
Yes, that helps. And also the fact that it's not super scary, but it's more spooky, which is more of a Halloween movie than a horror movie. Yeah.
It's the vibes.
It's definitely good vibes.
A little bit of the action, and then obviously just having a bunch of vampires and like cool, kind of like repeating cool lore and just double checking it with. I love how the kid uses like I think it was a DC comic book.
Yeah, I think it's Blade. No, Dracula. Sorry, Dracula comic book.
One of them.
No,
and then the old
Marvel,
guy uses like some old book that is called Vampire.
Yeah. And the book they bring to the priest to kind of convince him is a copy of Dracula, and he's like, "Are you serious?
Really?"
That was one thing that was a little that felt like it was kind of rushed. People just immediately was like, "Well, I guess they're vampires."
It, yeah.
Oh, they're vampires. Oh, okay. So what? When the after the first kid, the second kid dies of an apparent, anemic shock. And the gravedigger gets attacked.
Yeah.
And he becomes sick, and he stays with the teacher in the
because the
town.
teacher finds him in the bar, and he's like, "I can't take you home. I'll just take you to my place instead."
Yeah, and he says like, "Oh, you look sickly." And then he sees a mark on his neck, and he's just immediately like,
"Yeah,
he's a vampire." So, wait, what? Why would you?
Why is that your first?
Not just he has a mark on his neck and he looks sickly, like he's got like pneumonia or something. Because he looks like he has a
maybe
horrible
it's the beginning
cold.
of rabies. Like,
yeah. No, he goes immediately for vampires, and when it's kind of confirmed, he doesn't go to the authorities. He doesn't go to the cop. He goes to the new guy in town who's a writer.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. They say somewhere like, "You have authority on this," and he's like, "What?
I do."
Why? Since when? Is any of his books about vampires?
Yeah, that's never fleshed out, and
no.
that feels like something that might have been cut up because they keep portraying the cop as someone who does not care. Like in the beginning of the movie, when he stops Ben, like, "Hey, you're new. Hey, stranger, what are you doing in town? Like, don't cause trouble. Like, I'm too old to like care about trouble, and I just want to go. I just want to retire, please." And,
please don't. I just don't want to do the paperwork. Let me be, basically.
And then we basically never see him again until the scene where he and the doctor talks like, "You're abandoning this town." He's like, "Whatever. I'm too old for this shit. It's been dead
for a long time."
Yeah, exactly. So maybe there are more scenes with him just being a complete deadbeat cop.
Yeah,
and that's why he's like, "I can't go to him. He'll never believe me. But I'll go to the kooky writer guy who just moved into town." Maybe something like that, you know?
Writers believe this stuff, right?
Yeah, they're crazy.
They have an imagination, at least.
Something like that. But that feels like something that might have been cut out.
Yeah.
To kind of like, we gotta move along. Because that's something. As soon as the vampire stuff starts, it goes quickly.
Yes.
It's like an hour and 20 goes by so fast, which is, I'd say, good. It doesn't feel like it's stressful. But it goes by quickly.
You have a lot of we have a few key like big events that happen with the fighting between a human and a vampire at one point, or multiples at a few points. Yeah. Specifically the morgue, I think, is one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah.
When they realize that the mother of the two boys, the Glick boys, have also passed away.
Yeah, that was a great scene when she's lying under the cloth.
Yeah.
And then she attacks the doctor and is like, "Get her off me!" And starts pulling on the cloth and it just reveals her face. That's an awesome shot.
Yes.
Awesome. And the doctor starts stabbing her in the face. And it's like, "Oh my God, there's no blood."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a nice little detail.
Yeah, and the stuff like that. And the fact that, I don't know if that's a thing in the book, I don't remember, but that crosses start glowing when vampires are near.
That seems like a weird thing to put in a book. I think that was just a
I thought
visual thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the teacher uses it as a flashlight, basically.
Yeah. But I thought that
so
was...
it's not like it's just for us. It's actually in the world.
Yes, because at one point I was like, is it just to like emphasize, as a trick for the audience?
Yeah.
But no, at one point, when they're dragging the girl into the church who's been bitten, when they move past the cross, the doctor sees she's reacting to consecrated ground. So I think they can see that it lights up.
Yeah. No, it's definitely.
But I think that's such a cool. That's one of those that almost made it feel like a Sam Raimi movie. That whenever they use the crosses, they start. There's a wind picks up and the vampires fly back and a bunch of screaming and stuff.
Yeah.
And especially then in the morgue when there's a lot of jumping around and they put the cross on her and she literally flies back and then disappears into thin air because they actually put the cross on her, I suppose.
Yeah.
I like that like when it got really weird and how they kind of mix like it's part like a disease and part a curse. Like you can sort of, if you're quick enough, you can avoid it by taking anti-rabies medicine.
Yeah, it was a rabies shot.
Yeah. So you're like, so it's.
So you have to be really quick.
Yeah, so it's like a virus, but then, like we said, crosses light up. Even if it's made out of wood, it lights up like a lamp.
Even if it's made out of popsicle sticks and tape.
And you can't
which
be on
also
consecrated
burnt the
ground.
Tape. Yeah.
Which isn't really a thing in viruses. So that's the curse, the old-timey curse vampire thing. But you know what?
That's one of the things that I remember, because when I was younger, I had this obsession with vampires.
Yeah.
I remember reading about it, and the what vampires come from is how some people just looked anemic, basically. And they reacted to certain things. They reacted to garlic specifically because it's just such a strong scent, and they were sensitive to stuff like that. And they got sensitive to sunlight and all that.
Yeah.
But apparently, people got sensitive to churches a lot as well, which I couldn't really explain.
Okay.
And I think it was more like a psychological thing that they got scared more than they got like hurt.
Yeah, because that also...
And that just translated into fear of God.
because back in the day, the only time you really, other than if you were at the town market or something, the only time you gathered in a big mass, all people, would be at church. And maybe you were...
Exactly.
And I know that one of the earliest, like, myths around what vampires was, like, if you read about it back in, like thousands and thousands of years ago, because I did some research about this many years ago when I made my video essay about Vampire's Kiss. Like, right. when I overanalyzed that movie to high heavens, is the fact that like a vampire was someone who also like shunned society, who was on the outskirts and didn't want to get involved because they kind of loathed humans because it was something they couldn't be, so instead they hated humans because of it. So being around a big group of people wasn't something you liked.
Yeah, and I mean if you were just sick, then maybe you just didn't want to be around people talking about you and whispering about you and like, oh, there she is, there's the weird one. Yeah. Obviously you'd kind of freak out. Yeah. And that then again, that translated into
the skin is burning.
You're afraid of God. You will die in his presence.
Which if you want to talk more vampire history, jumping forward a long time to 1992, I think. From here on and forward, disgraced director Francis Ford Coppola, since last time we talked about him, his take on Dracula is that Tepesh, or Vlad Dracul, actually he cursed God. And that's how he became a vampire. He became an undead. He was no longer part of God's, flock. Yeah. He
was refused entrance to heaven and hell as well for some reason. Yeah. Kind of.
Yeah, I love that scene when he stabs the cross and the cross starts bleeding and he drinks it and that's when he becomes a monster.
Yes.
which is not at all in the Dracula book. That's something they made up. I'm pretty sure.
I don't think I've read that book. Actually,
I read once. Then I read that in elementary school. I don't know why I did, but I did. So I don't remember, but I remember that did not happen in the book. And then there's a scene. The first time we see him as the actual like monster version of Dracula.
Oh yeah.
They are storming through the room, and he's like, "Look what your god has done to me." So good, so good. Anyway, back to Salem's Lot. The Salem's Lot, not that deep.
No, it's not that deep. It has no like Mr. Nosferatu. I was about to call him. That's not his name. What's
He's
the vampire? Is he Barlow?
Barlow, yes.
Yeah, Mr. Barlow is just hungry and he wants more vampires.
Yeah. In the movie, he's more or less just a monster.
Yeah,
I remember that they go deeper, and he's still just an evil guy in the book.
Yeah,
but there's this whole thing with like evil spreading, and this deep, dark, ancient evil is more in the book. Yeah. But yeah, no, this is much more lighthearted. Like we said, it feels more like an Evil Dead movie towards the end, with the running around and the shotgun and everyone being set on fire and.
That whole drive-in theater sequence, I guess, because it's not just a scene. There's multiple scenes. They're there for a while. That's my second favorite, I think.
Yeah.
Moment in the entire movie. Because that's really clever. The whole, they're not cars.
They're
coffins.
Yeah.
I thought they knew, which is why they went there. But no, apparently the doctor didn't think that far until she actually saw it.
Yeah, I had to look that up, though, because I was like, this is not in the book, is it? I didn't remember. No, that's not how it happens in the book.
No, because that doesn't work in the same way in a book as it does in a movie.
No.
It has a very different impact.
Yeah. So
it worked really well in the movie, though.
It works well in the movie, but I gotta say, it's pretty bold to change, because it's completely different. Like spoilers for the book ending,
sure.
But it takes place in the Barlow house. Or,
which...
Marston House.
Marston House. Yeah, I'm assuming more is going to take place in the Marston House.
Oh no, it's not even that. Sorry, it's Eve's boarding house
where he lives.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but again, I just thought it would take place in houses more in general.
Yeah.
But this movie has a lot of screen time outside.
Yeah.
Which can work in one sense, but they don't mention that rule in this. Well, they do mention it a little bit in the movie. Like he's the kid, the second kid who becomes an actual vampire. He keeps telling Mark to let me in.
Yeah, that is a big thing. One of those.
But he doesn't invite him in. He
opens. No, he opens the window.
Oh, and that's enough?
That counts as a invitation, yes.
Okay.
And that is a big thing in the book. That's one of those classic rules that they have.
Like you can't come in unless you're invited in.
Yes, and that's how they get around, like we stay indoors at night and we're fine, basically.
Yeah.
And I like that in the book, and I like that they use that in the movie, because that's a great scene. Once again, that's directly lifted from the Tobe Hooper miniseries. He's just floating outside the window like, Mark, let me in. Ooh.
That was really cool, to be honest.
Yeah.
I didn't understand how the treehouse though worked the same way. I thought that didn't count.
Well, it is a house,
I guess.
And you can close the door, so technically...
Would a telephone booth work then?
Not sure.
It's a bit of a house. It has walls and a door and a roof and a floor.
Maybe. If it's one of those that closes all the way. Like, I remember telephone booths here in Sweden, they
never closed all the way.
They were open down by, like, from the knees and down.
I'm thinking of the ones you see in American movies.
Yeah, or classic phone boxes.
Yeah. Or the British red ones,
Yeah. Maybe. I don't think so.
Because then you stand there and be surrounded by hundreds of vampires going, shit.
Yeah, just wait for sunrise.
For sunrise.
Yeah.
No, but the floating outside of the window was really cool, and how when he got into the room, his little Mark's little diorama graveyard, the cross is lit up.
That was awesome. Yeah.
That was awesome. He was a cool character though, Mark Petrie. But it's a little bit weird that he didn't have any childlike qualities at all, really. He was almost too grown up.
He was a little. I don't know how to say it in English. He was lil gammal.
Yeah, he was a bit too old for his age or something.
An old soul, or not an old soul, but like a mature soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, which it should have been more of a child. In the book, he is more of a child.
Yeah, because you need that child. Like, you need a child. You need to have someone you want to protect, which they did, obviously.
Yeah, sure. But
Jesus Christ. But he didn't feel like he needed to be protected.
No, he has a lot of agency. I mean, he kills
I think
Barlow's...
it's Danny he kills.
He kills Barlow's familiar, Mr. Staker.
Oh, that too, right?
Yeah, which is a human, and he runs over the mom in the end. Like he's at the end of this movie,
he's the one who drives
killer.
into the movie screen thing.
Yeah.
Because he thinks of that idea, which no one else seemed to have done. And he kills Danny in the antique shop.
Yes. Yeah, he has,
and he's just like, I just killed 4 people. It's fine.
He has a lot of agency.
Whatever, dude.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it doesn't ruin the movie, but I wish he was more childlike.
He could have, I don't know, freaked out a little bit afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, going, holy shit, I just killed someone.
Because that would have
been enough.
That I remember, especially towards the end of the movie, or the book. The Ben and Mark, they become more of like a, takes on more of a parental role almost. Ben does, especially towards the end.
When Mark's parents are dead.
Yeah. So
those are the only people who don't believe anything anyone says, really.
Yeah.
They're like, no, come on, just go to bed, Mark. It's fine. Even when the priest's like, no, he's right. Please don't open the door. It's fine, whatever. We're just gonna... And then they die. Which I think is also might be the most brutal scene in the entire movie.
Yeah, that's another thing. This is, I mean, because it's streaming, so they don't really have to care about, it has to be PG-13 or it can be R-rated.
It is rated R.
It is rated R, yeah. And I can
on
see
IMDb.
There is enough blood and gore for it to be an R-rated movie. But it definitely, and this I think we get into the discussion around Gary Doberman. It makes it sound like this, it's not like the last couple of episodes when we talked about child molesters and stuff, but
God no,
but yeah, this feels like the violence is toned down. There could definitely be more blood. I mean, it's a vampire movie, for God's sake. Show us more blood.
I mean, vampires don't want to spill blood; they want to drink it. I guess.
They also become,
but there usually is a bunch of blood
when they feed, so there's usually a bunch of blood. Yeah. However, Gary Doberman for a long time, and I mean, this is also produced by. Gary Doberman worked for a long time, still works for James Wan.
Yeah.
Famous first, for making hard R horror movie Saw, but then kind of transitioning into like we've talked about, he started the modern PG-13 horror wave of bad jump scare movies, although he made some of the good ones, but still. The Conjuring, Insidious. And from there, he has been the producer. He's been the puppet master of the Conjuring universe.
Yes.
And Gary Doberman has written some of them. I think he wrote didn't he write Curse of La Llorona?
He wrote the screenplay for Annabelle.
The first one.
Annabelle. Yes, the first one.
Yeah.
The Nun. He's credited as screenplay by and story by. He's actually credited as written by for Annabelle Creation and Annabelle Comes Home. No, Annabelle Comes Home is screenplay and story.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to talk, because he has written a lot of these like bad modern jump scare movies like Annabelle.
Yeah.
Annabelle Creation is written by him. He has a screenplay credit on the first It movie, both It.
The second as well, yeah.
I didn't know that, actually.
No, me neither.
Those aren't as bad, but there's only he wrote The Nun.
But it's the new wave, which isn't new anymore, of these supernatural horror movies, except for, I guess, Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
excluding those, he has been involved in what the big wave has been.
Yeah.
Of these supernatural movies.
But
he did direct.
I was going to say that.
No, he produced.
Huh?
The Curse of La Llorona.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because once again, he was heavily involved in the Conjuring universe.
He did direct Annabelle Comes Home.
That's what I'm talking about. His one directorial effort before this is Annabelle Comes Home, the third Annabelle movie, which we've talked about before, which...
That's the one... I'm trying to remember which one it is.
Which when it actually takes place in the Warren's house, and it's all about the Warren daughter.
Yeah.
And yeah,
and McKenna Grace plays her, and her friend or their friend, I guess, the teenager, is babysitting her.
Yeah. Which should I mean the first Annabelle movie is awful.
Oh God, yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah.
And then Annabelle Creation, while it is fun sometimes, because
that's the one with the girl in the wheelchair?
Yes. Because it's directed by the Swedish guy, what's his name? David F. Sandberg,
right.
Who, despite the hilariously bad script, written by Gary Doberman, at least has some fun with some of the scares in that movie. Once again, has almost like a Sam Raimi-esque style to it towards the end.
Yeah.
Then the third movie really should be the worst. However, and I know I'm alone in this for the most part.
For the most part, yeah.
Annabelle Comes Home is like legit one of the better horror movies I've seen in the last 10 years.
It has some of the absolute best moments, definitely.
Yeah.
With like the scary moments and the just the one scene with the Japanese armor.
Yes, exactly. That's like one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
That's the best scene in the entire movie.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of. I'm not gonna say that the movie is great. It has some flaws, but it has some of the best horror moments.
Yeah.
In history, basically.
Yeah. And the fact that it's not this convoluted plot of, demons and we gotta try to fight it and blah, blah, blah. That's in there, but it all stems from these very, very well-established character traits that these, specifically the two girls have. And I talk about that. I have another short video essay about it, specifically talking about.
We
that
talked about it in the episode.
Yes, I know. And we did our ranking of the, or just talking about the Conjuring universe. That's when I first admitted to the sin of liking Annabelle Comes Home.
Yeah.
No, because every decision is so strongly informed by their character.
Yes.
And how different they are, and how, like I said, how well defined their characters are in the movie. It's amazing. I mean, for that kind of movie. You don't expect writing like that in a stupid third Annabelle movie.
No.
That's the thing. And that's
where they can literally throw in any ghost they want because they're in the Warren house, which has the museum, which has every single haunted item they've ever encountered.
Yeah. But they still they stick to what works for the characters. It's so good. Then of course it has the Bob's Got Balls stuff, but hey, it works as a bit of levity. Exactly. But the Bob character is a little, I don't know.
It kind of fits the movie because of the teenagers and all that stuff.
Yeah. I'll leave a link to my video essay about it up here. And I'll leave a link to the Patreon clip where we talk specifically about Annabelle Comes Home.
Right, that's a Patreon clip.
But and that's why I kind of like, now I want to see this because it's Gary Doberman. And
what if he?
When he
works the same kind of magic.
he's written a lot of shit, but the one time he wrote and directed a movie, it was actually good. And here once again, he wrote and directed it, and it's no Annabelle Comes Home.
No,
but Salem's Lot was still pretty good.
Yeah,
it's more lighthearted, but it's more of
it's
more of an adventure almost.
I think it depends on the difference of source material.
That too, yeah.
With Annabelle, you had a lot of original movies already with these stories around these people.
Yeah.
That had developed the characters of the parents.
Yeah.
And therefore, kind of removed the whole needing to explain all of the ghosts and where they came from. Because we just went, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just one of their previous cases.
And he also had to...
And then you could focus on the characters.
Yeah, and he also had to stick to, it has to be PG-13. It has to have jump scares.
Yes.
So it has all those things you don't like about the Conjuring movies.
Yeah.
But it also has all the things you do like about the Conjuring movies.
Yes. Here, instead, he has this famous and kind of long novel that he has to try and rewrite and fit into a movie.
Yeah, into 2 hours and make it more like action horror.
Yeah.
And I think he...
Not as easy, I guess.
No, but I think he succeeds.
I think he did pretty good, yeah.
As an adaptation, yeah, it's not very faithful.
No.
But as an adaptation, it works in making its own version of the story.
Yeah, I mean, it's based on. It's not the book made into a movie.
No, which could never work.
No. That has never worked and will never work.
No. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have. I mean, this is one of those movies. Yeah, we've talked about some of the like bad stuff. Like, yeah, the characters are not greatly fleshed out. It's a little.
No.
It feels a little rushed and stuff like that. But there's no, for me at least, no like one big or many small flaws that like ruins the movie.
No.
It works very well in spite of its flaws.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really like this. I haven't rated it yet on
No, me
Letterboxd,
neither.
but this is like a strong 3 out of 5 for me. I would say
It's 3.5 almost.
Yeah, I suppose maybe. Yeah, I'd have to see.
It's-
I'd have to see what other movies I gave 3.5 this year.
Yeah, that's true. But it looks, the style is great. I
That is
loved
good, too.
all of the settings and all that stuff and the lighting and everything just worked really
that
well.
Too. It has that modern look where you don't really have any like stark shadows because everything is HDR. But instead, he likes to play a lot with mist, which once again he does in Annabelle Comes Home.
Yeah.
Even inside the house, there's mist in certain scenes.
But that has to do with ghosts, so it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. But here, the entire city is covered in mist, so you only see the glowing eyes of the vampires.
Yeah.
But also working a lot with like lighting scenes. Like everything is bathed in this blue, sickly light, especially at night, like pale
there's this
moonlight.
green-blue tint on everything.
Yeah. And like the houses are backlit whenever the vampires are standing on them. So you have all these really like great shots. These great like shots of the town like littered with vampires. Just standing
especially when
around.
they're outside of the church.
That's the one scene
That
that
one,
really
yeah.
where it really works. How he's like he runs out into the streets, but no, come back inside. And he's like, what? Turns around again, and then the entire street is full of vampires, and they're standing in all the buildings. And then in one take, he runs back into the church, and the camera goes up, and you see the shadows of the vampires flying above him. So cool!
Yeah.
Like someone actually cared about the movie looking good, which
exactly.
Yeah, we don't usually get from streaming movies, or at least not that often.
I guess Max is the closest we get to caring about the looks of things, to be honest, though.
Yeah,
they do have a reputation of putting a lot of money on making things look good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we weren't.
Not everything.
We weren't fans of the writing, but the penguin looked amazing.
That
looked like a fucking movie every episode.
Yeah,
that we watched,
just
at least.
Cut up too much.
Yeah.
Too long. I'm just looking at like when you open up IMDb and the trailer comes up and it's a still. You have the two brothers walking home after visiting.
That scene too.
Mark.
Yeah, when it's all just a silhouette.
They're just a black
woods.
silhouette with the trees, and then it's a blue background behind them, lighting them up, sort of. It's so.
It literally looks like it's painted.
Yeah.
I wonder if that is not just shot. If it's actually shot like an effects shot, and it's actually like just a blue background with black like animation.
It could be
because it looks so stark, you know.
I mean, it could be, but either way, it's perfect.
Oh yeah, and it works for that scene. So yeah, he knows how to write crap.
Yes,
he's good at writing crap. But I mean, hey, that that has probably made him very rich at this point. You shit out a 90-page script, you get $1 million, and like, hey, I'll shit out another one next year, But then,
you do that a few times, and then maybe you just once every now and then you focus and actually write something pretty good.
And then you write an Animal Comes Home, or you direct a Salem's Lot. Yeah, and you actually try. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
was pleasantly surprised. I haven't seen a lot of reviews, but I've seen a lot of thumbnails and people seem to be disappointed. I don't really understand why. I'm guessing they're comparing it too much to the book and too much to the old miniseries, which isn't fair. You should try to avoid comparisons. I mean,
especially when it's
based on a book
like this, because it's not like yes, Stephen King he's a good writer, but he is more of a prolific writer than he is a good writer. He writes more than he writes good, I would say. He still writes good, but it's formulaic. I mean, he knows
but
what works.
His books,
page turners.
And his books are always very they're not very adaptable.
No.
There's so much going on in them. There's so many details and so many things. You can't put it into a movie, and it
usually spirals completely out of control in the third act.
Yeah.
Have you read Doomaky? Which
no, but I've heard you talk about it. And it's just, what
Jesus
the hell?
Christ. No, I'm not. We're not shitting on Stephen King. He's a good writer.
No, God, no. He's a great writer.
Like we said, just like he can just shit out a 500-page book that's like super engaging, but it's not like this. Like it's not high art, so to speak.
It doesn't have. It's not always deep. It's not always. No, it doesn't have to be. Yeah. But it's just good. It's entertainment.
Yeah.
This is gonna sound weird, but he's like the book version of the Fast and Furious.
Yeah, the book.
It's entertaining.
Yeah,
it's entertaining without being like having to be deep or pretentious or anything. Yeah. It's just good fun to read.
Yeah, just
not everything has to be poetic and deep.
Just quickly reading through some of the quotes from the reviews. I think a lot of people think it's like mindless and dumb because they're comparing it to the book. But it has a few like good reviews, and they seem to get what Doberman was going for. Like, this is not a great adaptation of the book. It's more of an action horror version of the book.
Yeah, exactly.
Because and like we said, it has a great like vibe, a Halloween vibe, classic Halloween vibe.
Yeah.
And The Wrap, who actually gave it the highest score, 83, that's very high, says it's a popcorn-spilling, shriek-inducing, tricky little treat. Exactly, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's a treat.
It's a spooky little Halloween movie. It has the scary vampires and running around and crosses the line up. It's silly. But it owns the silliness.
Exactly.
Yeah. Chris Hewitt, I like him as a writer. That's the next one. It goes from 83 to no wait, sorry. Hold on, let me check so I'm not saying that wrong. No, it has a few more good reviews from Chicago Sun-Times and Daily Beast. But Empire gives it a 60. Chris Hewitt says, by no means the disaster many might have expected following its years-long delay. You'll like it. Not a lot, but you'll like it. Yeah. That's what it is. It's disposable entertainment.
Yeah.
But one that I will come back to during Halloween seasons.
Definitely.
In the future.
It's also a very welcomed contribution to the vampire movies of the world, because we haven't had a good vampire movie in a while.
Yeah. Or at least not one that is like, or maybe not even in general had a good vampire movie. When was the last? Yeah. Hold on. List of good vampire movies.
Like Dracula Untold that came out like 10 years ago. Terrible.
That's not good. Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I can't think of a good one that has come out since, I don't know.
The last one I saw was that stupid adaptation of the one chapter in Dracula, The Last Voyage of the Demeter. God
right. I haven't watched that.
Sucked.
You know what? No, that's not fair. You know what? A good vampire movie. Though I don't know if it counts as a vampire movie, even though it has Dracula in it. Is that Nicolas Cage one?
Oh, Renfield. Yeah, Renfield, that's true. That's true.
But it is at the same time. That's not not very vampire
No.
movie. It's more of
Well,
the
it's-
character Renfield.
Yeah.
Just happens to have a vampire in the background.
Yeah. But okay, that's one. Sure, it was only last
exactly.
year, but still. Other than that, like if you look at movies from the 2010s, and this is supposed to be the best vampire films of the 2010s. Yeah, you have What We Do in the Shadows. Great vampire comedy.
Was that a movie?
Oh,
I only saw this show.
oh no. Oh no. Please, you know it's a movie from the beginning, right?
I don't remember.
Starring fucking Taika Waititi before he became an insufferable asshole.
Oh, right.
And Jermaine Clement from Flight of the Conchords.
Right. Yeah, no, you're right, yeah.
That movie is amazing.
That one, did everyone watch that? Like, did that premiere everywhere?
It was kind of a big thing when it came out. But I mean, in like, not like mainstream, but it was kind of a big thing in like horror circles.
Yeah.
It was big enough to get its TV adaptation later, but yeah. Other movies people are mentioning here, yeah. Only Lovers Left Alive, of course. Doctor Sleep, I wouldn't call that a vampire movie.
Is there a vampire in that even?
Or the bad guys aren't vampires, they're like
No, they're like circus freaks.
demons or something. Sort of like
Yeah,
vampires,
no.
I suppose, but... And then Let Me In, A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. Yeah, these like, more artsy vampire
Exactly.
movies. But also, all these movies are like 10 or more years old.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Other than that, they're mentioning like Fright Night, Stakeland, Hotel Transylvania, Dark Shadows.
That's a Disney movie. Dark Shadow.
The Johnny Depp movie.
Oh,
Remember
right.
that
No,
one?
again, doesn't count as a vampire movie.
Wow, man.
He just happens to be a vampire.
And then you have like Underworld Awakening, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Do you remember Priest? The futuristic vampire movie. The priest fights the vampires and
yeah.
Dylan Dog, which is fine, I suppose.
Why is Jupiter ascending on this list? What?
What? That's not a vampire movie.
That's not a vampire. No.
Okay, I guess here they're just listing every. I thought it was supposed to be the best, but this is just every.
Yeah, that's what I'm going through a random letterboxed list, and like the first one I can see on this one that I would count as a good vampire movie, except for I guess Only Lovers Left Alive, which again is more of the characters being the characters. Doesn't really have the vampire bit being. They're not vampires really. They are, but
if you're looking for a vampire movie, the classic.
That's not what you're watching.
No,
yeah,
you're looking for something like this. Bliss is a pretty good one, which came out a few years ago, 2019. That's a good one. But yeah,
on this list, the only one I can look at is honestly Queen of the Damned, which is a vampire movie, but I wouldn't count it as a good.
No, and that's 20 years ago.
It's again kind of and that's 20 years ago, but it's kind of entertaining. That's the one. It's not good. It's kind of entertaining.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So yeah. Other than Renfield, it's been a few years since we had a really, really good vampire movie.
Yeah.
I would say. However, we're gonna round it off here. I think. We are getting.
Now we do.
Now we do. But also, which I think we're going to cover
Right.
post-Christmas, I suppose.
Yes.
We're getting Robert
Most likely.
Eggers' adaptation of Nosferatu this year. And
Yes.
there have been advanced screenings of it. I haven't read any reviews, but I read impressions, and it might be really, really, really good one.
We'll just have to see when we get a hold of it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're going to watch it in the theaters, Rebecca.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Okay. I thought you meant we're going to find it,
No. When we are able to watch it in theaters
Yes.
here in Sweden, because we're probably not going to get it when everyone else does.
Well, we're going to get it in the end of December, around Christmas.
Oh, we do?
Yes.
Oh, well, then it's a special episode. Maybe.
Yeah, it's going to be our post-Christmas, maybe last of this year episode.
Could be.
Would be a good one to end on.
Yeah,
And
probably.
and
Hopefully.
Speaking of endings,
Yes.
that's going to be the end of this episode.
Yeah.
We didn't have a spoiler-free section, so to speak, so I'll see how I'll do with that clip, but whatever.
Yeah.
But like we said, there's not really much to spoil here.
No, the book's ages old.
That and there's no big twists and turns in the movie.
No.
So, yeah. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you've seen the movie, because, I mean, it's been out for a while now. This is kind of a
we're a little late.
Catch-up episode. Also, because we didn't have anything else to watch in November. Fuck Gladiator 2. Yeah, we decided to do this one. So if you've seen it, leave a comment what you thought of it. Were we right? Were we wrong? Were we completely wrong?
Yeah.
Also, once again, subscribe if you haven't. Leave a like on the video. And, check us out on patreon.com/don'tmakeascene. We'll be back with another Patreon episode.
Yes.
Next week, technically, yeah.
This Monday.
Yeah. And I think if we have time, well, maybe we'll do that Tuesdays because we're recording this on a Sunday this week.
That's true.
We should watch one of the others Salem's Lot adaptations.
Sure.
Yeah.
And just talk more generally about vampires, I guess.
That too, yeah. So if you want to hear us talk more about vampires and rant much more than we do here, we try to keep it sort of structured here, sort of. Check us out on Patreon. But other than that, thank you so much for listening, and until next time, have a good one. Bye. The Spoiler Cast is part of Please Don't Make a Scene. It's hosted by Tobias Vedén and Rebecca Vedén. Produced and directed by Tobias Vedén. Executive producer is Annika Vedén. I also want to give a big shout out to all our patrons: Mom and Mac, Laura Kinney, Daniel Elgaiso, Christopher Millian, Mom, Dad, CK85, and Jacob.